I can't believe we're already on class 11. So thanks so much for being here and for all that you are learning. And I'm seeing that you're learning a lot. Now, I do want to remind you that we do have a secret podcast that you are also welcome to. That is also for free. And you can listen to some of the responses to some of the questions that people have given or some of the obstacles. A lot of you have had time with me in the past, and we get to kind of review some of the hard stuff, because prosperity is a living, breathing kind of way of being in the world. And so there are often things that we have to figure out, not just how to absorb the idea, but how to apply it. And, you know, running your life from prosperity as the mainspring of what we're doing is a practice behavior. And it is a practice that we have to do. And we'll talk later about just being a practitioner and what that means as a prosperity worker. And we'll kind of talk about some blocking points and, you know, just how difficult it can be, right? That building prosperity is a habit. That's why it's called prosperity habit. It is a habit that you have to build. And it's also learning to take your life and really keep it in action energy that's expanding, energy that's celebratory, energy that's available for receivership, that there's a lot to it. And it's also that it's sustainable, that having sustainable growth in you being well within is a practice behavior. And when you are asking prosperity to be your mainspring, my number one ask of anyone is to stay open. You don't have to accept all of the ideas that are here, but gosh, stop resisting that. The fact is that there may be another way. There may be another tool. There may be just another little shift that's available for you. And that shift may be that you're tuned into something a little more clearer, that you are willing to kind of make a little space so that you can create an opportunity for new gifts to come in. So when you are thinking about that, I would think about for yourself, do you want prosperity to be your mainspring? Do you want that to be what is coming up in your deep well, that you bring the rest of your life forward? And are you willing to kind of look at the hard bits and to do the work? And the work is to be available to facilitate a process of unfolding and to not rush it, but to be with it, to practice with it, to play with it. If you've ever learned an instrument, boy, there's a lot of sour notes before you get a good one. And not only just before you get a good one, but before you get like a whole bunch of them in a row. And that is why it is a practice. And that's why it has to be your mainspring. And one of the things that I tell people is that it's incredibly difficult to understand life when you constantly are running all of your internal decision making based on external stuff. And the reason that I tell people, like, if you can come into this prosperity mindset and do the work, it's really more efficient. It's more effective with causal chains and understanding, right, what's the deep root of something or the complexity of how it is moving, or understanding that there are many parts of you that build a harmony of self. So when you're building that harmony of self, there's many parts of yourself. So it's, again, absorbing and applying and learning how to really focus in on the internal conflict versus the external conflicts. And the internal conflicts for us are much more personal, enduring, resonating. They are also the wins, that many of us choose to remember pain as a positive experience because we've learned something from it, or that, you know, that we want to gain harbor, that we want to get closer to a better land. There are many reasons why we are looking to be more prosperous. And I think when I look at that, it's also identifying, taking the time to look at these opposing urges and urgencies that I want to do this other thing, but boy, this other thing feels urgent. And that is just learning to do it every day. That's learning to do the gift of the shift, right? The gift of the shift. That's the gift of the shift, is learning how to manage these opposing urges and urgencies. And when you are facilitating yourself, it is also to say that you're willing to kind of do some nurturing, and nurturing not just to the self, to the esteem, right? Holding the self in esteem, but nurturing of the beliefs and the values that you're already running from. Sometimes the beliefs that we have are outdated. Sometimes the beliefs that we have were not beneficial to the person you grew into. Many of you have invested thousands of hours into being smarter, into your own personal self-exploration, and into journaling, into introspection. You've done a lot of this work. What I'm saying is that you have to add it up for you. That the way that you add it up isn't the same way I'm going to, or that person, or that person, or that person, or that person, or that, right? That this is your experience, and it is uniquely yours, and it is uniquely yours. And that's why it's difficult, because the internal landscape is often hidden, and it's hidden for good reasons and bad reasons. But it is one that we have to take the time to come into alignment with, into attunement. We have to come in with a curious nature to understand that prosperity is our mainspring. And how did I get there? How do I clean house a little bit? And that means that sometimes we have to change our view. And sometimes that changing that view is that we have to maybe think that universal abundance is infinite. What if it's so much bigger than you think? What if loving as an act of rebellion was worth it? What if taking a risk, even though I don't know how it's going to come out, could still benefit me, or that I could move forward without worrying that I was going to get hurt, or that the world was going to tear me down? What if I could live my life as going, wow, I'm just is. I'm just what this is just me, and that's okay. And that's okay. And you get to be you, and I get to be me, and we get to be friends no matter what. That we have to figure out, right? What are we taking in? What are we absorbing? Right? What's absorbing, and what really fits with us? What is the fit? And that means you have to know your beliefs. You have to know your values. You have to be able to do the work and write it down and do that intimate time. But it also means apply. It means that you have to actually do stuff to change. And to do stuff to change means you have to act differently, you have to speak differently, you have to walk differently, you have to care for yourself differently, you have to show up for yourself, you have to be more curious, and you have to do things in receivership to allow your well to fill, to allow yourself the time and the need and the nurturing that you need, and that you deserve. And we all deserve nurturing. So that is, as we move forward, I'm looking at my notes here of what is the fantastic, delicious, and profound ask that I have of you. The fantastic, delicious, and profound ask that I have of you is absorb and apply. Absorb and apply. Because we are looking to fill that inner well with prosperity and have that be your mainspring. That is the well that you will move through the world with. That is you in the middle, expanding outward, and expanding outward without carrying resentment or anger or just the heft of that. And the other part to that is that as you grow these small skills, a little bit, your leverage becomes huge. That your ability to lever big things will go up and up and up and up. So you can feel strong enough to look at things that were hard. You can feel strong enough to approach some of the things that may have been traumatic. You can approach the things that may have really disabled you. And now they can be tools that will enable you to grow faster and further and happier. So we have some worksheets for you, but again, I don't need you to have to accept everything that I'm saying. What I do ask of you is that you'll absorb and apply, that you'll stay open, and that you'll consider that there's more here than maybe you know, and that you will see what fits, and see if that works for you. And nurturing yourself and nurturing the other parts of you. There are many parts of you, and nurturing them is great. And then the final reminder is that, information without action is really a declaration to everything of unavailable. So if you want to know how you can continue to sabotage your own prosperity, and then just keep doing nothing, because that will assure you that is that declaration of unavailable. So stay open, stay available, absorb and apply. I'm so glad you're here. And phase 2 is coming. So I'll see you in phase 2. Bye.